So we will call to order the August meeting of the Delaware County Board of Library Directors. The first item on the agenda are the minutes for the June 2020 meeting. Are there any questions or comments in reference to the June minutes? Hearing none. Helen, do you have a motion in reference to those minutes?
I move to approve the June 2020 minutes.
Thank you, Susan.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving to communications and announcements. A welcome to our new local library directors, Kathy.
The Helen Kate Furness Library, the Radnor Memorial Library, and the Yaden Library welcome new directors. We'd like to welcome 3 new faces to Delaware County Libraries. Leah Kulikowski is the new director at the Helen Kate Furness Library. Leah started her library career as a children's library associate and then gained experience working in reference, adult services, interlibrary loan, marketing, and outreach. She has been a manager in several libraries in Maryland in both St. Mary's County and Cecil County, along with serving as a library director in Kansas. Joyce Platfoot comes to Radnor Memorial Library from Lower Merion Township, where she worked as a reference librarian at Ludington Library. Before that, she worked in the Delaware County Library System at the Haverford Township Free Library for 11 years, culminating in her last position as the head of reference. Lastly, we'd like to welcome Clay Payne to the Yaden Public Library. Clay began his career working in libraries at the East Baton Rouge Parish Public Library as a library page and later as a library technician. He then relocated to Atlanta, where he worked as a library assistant with the DeKalb County Public Library. The bulk of his career is at the Atlanta Fulton County Library System, most recently as branch group administrator, HR director, overseeing library branch operations. HR and the 2015-16 opening of 8 new libraries and the renovation of 7 others. In addition, he has worked for the DC Public Library as an adaptive services librarian at the DC branch of the National Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped.
Thank you, Kathy. Welcome to those new directors. Next item, circulation periods, Kathy.
Sure. As of our June 4th, 2020 meeting, the board had voted on a 3-week loan period on all items with 1 renewal per item. After polling the libraries and evaluating services, we're requesting that a motion be made to reinstate the pre-pandemic loan periods for all items and to change renewals back to 3 times per most items. Some items such as DVDs, museum passes, laptops, hotspots, etc., do not permit renewals, but most books do. So a motion is required to reinstate all loan periods and renewals back to the pre-pandemic level.
I move to reinstate all loan periods back to pre-pandemic levels.
Thank you, Helen. Susan?
I second the motion.
All in favor of that motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Online request function reinstated, Kathy.
On June 29th, library cardholders were able to place holds on items from all member libraries of the Delaware County Library System. That had been preempted during the shutdown, but now it's reinstated.
Next item, all items quarantined for 72 hours.
Yeah, we just wanted to let the public know that libraries set aside returned items for 3 days before allowing them to be borrowed by the public. So we just wanted everyone to understand that we have safety in mind and we are quarantining items for 3 days.
Thank you, Kathy. Limited entry in libraries.
As each library varies in size, we're just asking the public to please check with the individual library for access to the building. And as mandated by the governor and the Pennsylvania Board of Health, Department of Health, masks must be worn in all libraries. If a patron cannot wear a mask, libraries will make accommodations by offering curbside service or contactless pickup.
And as to those libraries with limited entry computer use by appointment only?
Yes, patrons are able to schedule a 40-minute appointment for computer use each day at those libraries that are allowing limited entry. We ask that you please contact the library directly to make an appointment.
Thank you, Kathy. Moving on to the financial report. Are there any questions or comments in reference to that report? Hearing none. Helen, do you have a motion, please?
I move to approve the April 2020 financial report.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Susan. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the administrator's report. First, PPE equipment or PPE for libraries. Excuse me, Kathy.
Yeah, Delaware County Libraries has been coordinating PPE for local libraries through the Government of Delaware County Purchasing Department. We have another big order that should be arriving either early next week or the end of next week that we should be able to distribute to libraries. I just want to acknowledge Mike Madron and Steve Lucas from the purchasing, who've worked diligently to provide PPE for not only libraries, but many of the other departments and agencies of Delaware County. I just think that they should be commended on their efforts.
Thank you, Kathy. Next, reciprocal borrowing grant funded at 5/12 the 2019 rate.
Sure.
Kathy?
On May 29th, 2020, the governor signed an interim 5-month budget, and the public library subsidy was funded at only 5/12 of last year's level. Delaware County libraries will only receive $187,405 of the anticipated $449,773 appropriation. In November, the General Assembly will consider budget proposals for the remaining 7 months of the fiscal year. Reciprocal borrowing grant funds will not be dispersed until the General Assembly meets in November. At present, there's no plausible way to predict the outcome of a budget for the remaining 7 months. So normally by this time, we do distribute the reciprocal borrowing fund grants to the libraries, and that's 10% of that $449,000. Since the governor has only signed that interim budget, we can't disperse the funds until November, when the legislature meets again to start up talks.
Any questions or comments in reference to this agenda item? Okay, 2019 library audit reviews.
All state-funded libraries in Pennsylvania are required to receive a financial audit or review based on the amount of funding they received. An audit should be filed every year for libraries which receive annually $50,000 or more in state income. If a library receives less than $50,000, an audit is required every 3rd year, with a financial review filed in the years that an audit is not required. Audits and reviews were due to our headquarters on August 1st, but due to the pandemic, there has been an extension, and libraries can return their audits or submit their audits by September 30th.
Thank you, Kathy. Moving on to committee report or reports, DCL committees.
Yes, I'm going to turn this over to Annie because she's coordinating all the committees as our district consultant.
Yes. So in an effort to increase the collaboration and communications among the DCL members, 10 committees were formed about 3 years ago. The directors created a set of rules for the committees, including 3-year terms of service for members, a minimum of 4 meetings per committee annually and a mechanism to share their work product. We're in the process of reorganizing all of these staff committees, and the committee chairs will all be meeting sometime this month or early in September, and then work of each committee will recommence with virtual meetings as needed. So we're looking forward to getting those committees back up and running.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Moving on, is there any new business?
I do not have any.
Okay, moving, is there any old business to address? And finally, public comments. Have we received any public comments?
We have. There were comments submitted prior to the meeting, and I'm going to take the first one, and then I'm going to hand it off to Annie. So the Crozier Library has submitted 2 comments, and this is from the director of the Crozier Library, which is Mark Winston, PhD. Swarthmore College's Chester Community Fellows Program provides an opportunity for select Swarthmore residents to learn from an enhanced capacity of Chester-based community organizations. The 2020 fellows chose to highlight the Crozier Library as their project in common relevant to the city of Chester, making their final project a podcast interview with the library director and highlighting Crozier Library's history, programs, services, and important role in the community. The podcast is being posted widely on social media. Also from Crozier Library, in collaboration in addressing the importance of diversity as a societal and professional value, the Free Library of Philadelphia has invited the Crozier Library to participate in a civic dialogue initiative that aims to build a statewide network that connects Pennsylvanians to each other through their local libraries. The program will curate shared digital conversation forums to build bridges of connection between a diverse range of library patrons across the state. And once again, that was submitted by Dr. Mark Winston.
Okay, I'm gonna read the comment that was submitted by Glenna Carroll of the Aston Library. She is a trustee there at the Aston Library. Miss Debbie is continuing her story times online on the Aston Library Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Aston Library. And those are as follows: Tuesdays at 10:30 for toddler story time, Wednesdays at 10:30 for infant story time, and Thursday at 10:30 for preschool story time. Miss Debbie is also sending out daily emails, one for parents with story times and activities for the kids, the other for adults with exercises, recipes, activities, and free services. Folks can sign up by emailing her at Debbie, that's DEBBIE, at astonlibrary.org. And they also would like you to know that they do not expect to have any public access into the building in August, but are hoping to move forward with doing that in September.
Did you get the final comment, Annie, or would you?
I did, yes. And I can
okay,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I'll go ahead and read that.
Sure.
So this final comment was submitted by Ellen Cornfield, trustee at the Swarthmore Public Library. Beginning August 10th, the Swarthmore Public Library will allow patrons to schedule appointments for various services. The building will be kept locked as it is now. A library staff member will let the patron in at their scheduled time. The patron can visit for a maximum of 40 minutes and then will be let out of the building. Information and a link to schedule the appointments can be found on the Swarthmore website. And that's it.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Kathy, our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 1st. Is that correct?
It is, and it was tentatively scheduled at the Marple Library. If the numbers keep rising, once again, we'll probably meet via Zoom, via Facebook Live.
Okay. Anything else before we adjourn? Helen, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Thank
I
you,
second.
Susan. Thank
I
you.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.